Welcome back to the Marlins here on OOTP 26. As you can see, it is July 27th. We are 2 series past the All-Star break, and that means that it's time to take a look here at the trade deadline and see what we're going to be adding on to this Fish roster to help us down the stretch and then hopefully in the playoffs. One thing we do need to mention is that we currently are without Dustin May for like 3 weeks. He's already missed, I think I want to say maybe one or two starts he's already missed. He has bone chips in his elbow. Hope he'll be back for the playoffs, hopefully. He is down now to fragile injury proneness, which we don't love to see. First year of a 3-year contract, but it is what it is. And right now we are rocking 3 followers in the bullpen, or in the rotation rather. So, down the stretch, I don't mind rocking King and Bobby Miller, but I would like to add one more starter to this mix. Because ideally in the playoffs, it's like Waldrop, Dustin May, Scott, and the guy we add in the rotation, and King and Hubeck can go to the bullpen. Or maybe King is a follower in the postseason. We'll have to see. But we'll just have to see what happens when we get to that point. But for at least the rest of the season, I do want to add one more starting pitcher. As far as the bats go, I don't think we're going to add anything to the bats here. You can see I also did call up Nicholas Partridge and did that thing I was talking about where he's going to be backing up first and third base, main pinch hitter, getting some plate appearances here and there, while Cawley is like the super utility backup guy. If we do decide to add a bat, though, it would be like an outfielder that we would not mind playing. Like if one of these guys gets hurt, we're really dipping down into like some very like quad A type players. Like we don't really want to give Zahir Hope time like every day in an outfield spot. We've got Victor Mesa, who we theoretically could go to. I wouldn't mind doing that, but he's not my first choice. He's been terrible this season in AAA, as you can see. Judd Fabian is still in the organization. He also has not been great in AAA this season. And we also signed a couple guys to minor league deals where they had the option to opt out after 1 month, but they decided to stick around. One of those guys is Spencer Jones, you can see here. He has not been good in AAA. I thought maybe he would even make the team out of camp and be our starting right fielder this year, but he did not do that and has been bad in AAA. So not really trying to play him in right field at some point either. And then our old friend from the Angels series, Dylan Carlson, was also somebody we gave a minor league deal with an opt-out to. It was one of those ones where you couldn't opt out after 30 days, and he did not do that. So Dylan Carlson is... he's an option, but do we really want to rely on him? I will say the problem, though, if we pick up an outfielder and then Cawley goes down, is that Cawley is currently out of options. He has no option years, so if we decide to get rid of him or send him down, we would have to pass him through waivers, which I don't really want to do. So we might have to just send Partridge back down if we do that. So I maybe should have waited to call Partridge after the deadline, because now we're just going to basically like auto burn an option, because I'm stupid. But, if we decide to get an outfielder, that's something we'll probably have to do. But the main thing we are looking to acquire is a starting pitcher. Maybe even 2 starting pitchers. We'll have to see. Because you can see here, just looking at our player development, all of our top guys are not like ready for the big leagues. They're all like rookie ball level, A ball level guys. International complex here. This guy's in Double-A, but I'm not really like he's also hurt. He's got a torn labrum. More A-ball, more rookie. There's Partridge. There's Diaz, and then another A-ball. So nobody who's like immediately ready to come up to the big leagues and like play a part for our team, aside from Partridge, who we already talked about, and then we like Camilo Diaz as well. He actually did come up for a little bit. Got 8 plate appearances. Was really good in those 8 plate appearances, but very small sample size. And if we do have to call him up at some point, we might, but he's not exactly one of our first options. And when we take a look at the starting pitchers who are on the block, I'm seeing a lot of red ink. Spencer Strider out for 6 months, Luis Castillo out for 13 months, Reynaldo Lopez out for 5 days, Drew Rasmussen out for a week, McCullers out for 5 to 6 months, Brandon Bielak out for 7 to 8 months, Tyler Ivey out 9 months, Brady Singer out 12 months, A lot of injuries going around. One guy that could be interesting is Sean Manaea. who we let walk in free agency after the World Series year. He no longer is the guy that he was. You could see here with Boston, he obviously took a step back. His FIP was much worse. And this year he's been a little bit better, but still overall not the same guy. You look at his ratings, he has some trouble limiting home runs. His home run rate has gone up ever since he's gone to Boston. So it would be more of like a feel-good type thing to reacquire him than it would to actually be acquire a guy who we think can be like a legit pitcher for us. Also has another year of team control, which I do not want a 38-year-old making $18 million on my team next season. So he's just not an option. One thing that could be an interesting swing here would be Zach Wheeler. They are out of Spencer Strider. He got hurt for them this season. They traded for him in the offseason, apparently. And looks like he had like a really weird last year where he had a really good FIP but not a great ERA. But still a really good pitcher, but now fragile, coming off another long-term injury. And the Brewers are not good. They're in dead last in the NL Central. So they are a team looking to sell here, and they have Zach Wheeler on the block. 39 years old, obviously not somebody we'd look to acquire long-term, but he is an expiring contract. He's still a 60-grade starter. He's still a very solid starter to have. He is actually a World Series champion in this universe because he went to Milwaukee in 2026, and he won a World Series for them that season. But it would be cool to get him a second one. So Zach Wheeler definitely towards the top end of our list here. It would take a decent amount to get him as a 60 overall starter, even if he's 39 years old and expiring. George Kirby could be an option as well. He's with Philadelphia. The thing about him, though, is that we would have to lock into having him for next season as well at $23.6 million. He's fragile right now, not having his best season. Really, the past 2 years has not been that great of a pitcher overall. I should say, last year he was pretty good. He was pretty good last year. He was just hurt, missed a decent amount of time. If we wanted to go with the ground ball, like we have been going with, Tanner Houck is a possibility, expiring free agent on the San Diego Padres. What is their record? They are in second place. So, no, we're not going to get him. They're not going to trade Tanner Houck. It's just not going to happen. So, Tanner Houck, we're not going to trade for him. Dollard isn't really interesting. He's an arbitration guy, and he's like, whatever. Michael Grove is like, whatever. Nick Martinez, not really interesting. Jordan Montgomery, not an expiring contract, also not interesting. These guys are hurt. Or Lopez is like a couple days, but he's extreme fly ball, no thanks. Rasmussen is like a week. He has not been having a good season. He is expiring, though. He could be something. He could definitely be something, I feel like. We could, put our defense behind him. He could be pretty decent. So Rasmussen could be an option. Wheeler is our number one option. Jared Schuster. He is a arbitration guy. He's also not having a great year. Probably not one of my best options there. Blake Snell, don't really want to go after him. Dylan Cease, now we're down into the 45s, not really looking at him. So, yeah, I think it's... What would it take to get Zach Wheeler? Yeah, it would take like a serious prospect to get him, as you would think. Obviously, we're not going to give them Vargas, Lara, or Head. Mike Bird is a player we have in A-ball right now, probably should be in AA ball. Yeah, we'll put him in AA, see how he does up there. We like him. We think he's going to be a very good reliever for us at some point. Do I want to give him up in this trade? Maybe. It also seems kind of weird just to give up a one-for-one reliever for Zach Wheeler trade, even if he is 39 and an expiring free agent, although I guess that's not too out of the question. Plone and Rico are guys that I'm not really loving wanting to give up. Plone here he's just been incredible in rookie ball for us. And then Gustavo Rico looks like he's going to be like a Carmona type reliever. Waldrop is a part of our rotation right now. And Trevor Whitney was our first-round pick last season, who they are using as a reliever in rookie ball. Although he is starting games, so that must be just recently. I'm just scrolling through our prospects here. seeing if I could like give them somebody and then make it work and see if there's like another lesser prospect I could add on to make it work. But honestly, I would not be opposed to giving them Trevor Whitney. He is a first-round pick. I don't know, maybe that would be too much. Yeah, honestly, I'm just not seeing anything else out there that I would be like that's really they're interested in. So I'm down to just give them Whitney. Yeah, like I'm totally down to just give them Trevor Whitney here. And do Trevor Whitney, last year's first round pick, straight up for Zach Wheeler. Although that is, you know, he could be a really, really good pitcher. What would it take to get, who was the other one we were talking about? Rasmussen. Rasmussen was the other one that I thought was interesting. What have his numbers been like? Like this year, like his FIP has been like serviceable, or his WHIP rather. In 2027 he barely played but was really good. 2026 he was really good. 2025 he was solid. Last year he was solid. And this year he's just kind of having a weird year. But I mean, this could absolutely tick up once it comes behind our defense. And he would take much less to get. Okay, so they definitely want an actual piece here. Like, they would want our third catcher in Axial Plaz. Maybe? The thing about trading him now is that we have Grindlinger. Grindlinger here, who's still quite raw, but he is a guy who could possibly be like a decent third catcher to have on a roster. And he will be needed to add to the Rule 5 in this offseason. And Plaz is a guy who's making $4 million. And I don't think we want to bring that back for another season. So I think we're cool giving them Plaz. I think we're cool going, hey, this guy straight up for Drew Rasmussen, who's an expiring contract, and he'll be back in a week. Yeah, I think we're cool with that. And we're going to do it. Now I'm also seeing that the Brewers have Jarren Duran on their trade block, making me start to think things like, maybe Morlando, although he's been so good for us. We can't bench him. I mean, we can't do that. Vargas has kind of struggled this year, but I mean, we're not going to bench this bat. So, like, yeah. I was starting to think, like, maybe we could get Duran and Wheeler, and then that would make it more worthy giving up somebody like Whitney, because we would have one more year of Duran, an expiring Wheeler. Duran with 80 gap power and this speed profile could play as, like, a really good corner outfield. But that would force us to move somebody like Morlando to the bench. Apparently, Nolan Shawnwell is a Pittsburgh Pirate, is an expiring free agent, and they have him on the trade block. Not that we need a first baseman, but we are going to have to make a decision at first base in the offseason because De Los Santos is projected to make $7.35 million, but then we also have Partridge coming up. So it's like if we decide to move on from De Los Santos, this guy is probably just going to be our first baseman. If we did decide to do this Jarren Duran and Zach Wheeler thing, though, we could do it. We could get it done with Trevor Whitney, who was last year's first-round pick, Skylar Hales, who, like, on paper could be, like, this insane high stuff, high control, three-pitch mix elite guy who can give you starting innings, but more so a reliever. But he's extreme fly ball, and we're trying to get away from that. So, like, I'm not exactly loving keeping him, so we would totally be fine giving him up. And then Grant Shepherdson, who kind of just doesn't really look like anything really that special. 23 years old, almost 24. Yeah, we could give them this three-player mix for Duran and an expiring Wheeler. One more year of Duran. But then, like I said, we would have to figure out what the outfield is going to be like next year. Where I would be able to run something where it's like Duran plays the corners and a little bit of center the rest of the season as like the fourth outfielder. And then next year, we could very well have something where De Los Santos maybe leaves because he's making too much money. We trade him for pitching or something because he wants 7.35. And maybe we do something like Partridge plays first. But that would still leave us to where we would have Morlando and Hernandez. So I don't know. I don't know if we want to do this because it doesn't fit. I don't really want to push Morlando to the bench because he's been so good for us this season. But Jarren Duran is really good. I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to pull the trigger on this. We're just going to figure it out. We're gonna play it by ear with Jarren Duran. We're going to get Zach Wheeler for the rest of the season. And Trevor Whitney, Skylar Hales, and Grant Shepardson are going to go to the Milwaukee Brewers, who stink this season. And yeah, that's what we're going to do here. Bang. We have done the trade. All right, so I think we have done what we were going to do at this trade deadline. We have made it so our right-handed hitting lineup, or our right-handed pitching lineup is Duran in left, Morlando playing every third day in left, Duran as the backup center and right fielder with Cawley as the secondary, Fernandez, Morlando, Eels, Palma as the pinch hitters, and Duran sitting seventh, Hernandez is in fifth, and then against lefties, when Eels is DHing, we flip them to where Duran's hitting fifth. I might even just do that overall. Just have Duran always hit fifth, Fernandez seventh. And yeah, I think that's going to be what we're rocking and rolling with here for the rest of the season. And that's going to be the lineup. And then the pitching staff right now is Waldrop, Wheeler, King as a follower, Scott, Bobby Miller as a follower. And then Dustin May will come back. Drew Rasmussen will come back. That'll push King and Miller to the bullpen. That'll be 5, and then we'll have to decide which one doesn't make the playoff rotation when we get to that point. I should also mention that Christian Scott just recently, ding, 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 perfect game against the Toronto Blue Jays. Let me show you this game here. Let me show you this little line here. We go to this 8-0 win over the Blue Jays, where we just had a really good hitting game, win 8-0. Christian Scott goes 9, no hits, no runs, no walks, 6 Ks, 103 pitches. Perfect game for Christian Scott, beating the Toronto Blue Jays on July 22nd, 2029. Well, folks, we have reached the end of the 2029 campaign, and the Florida Marlins have not only finished atop the NL East division once again, where they belong, but it is also the career win record here for Craig Finn. We had a 96, a 94, and now a 98 win season here at the helm of the Marlins as we take our place back atop the division here, outplay our Pythagorean a little bit, but overall a very, very good baseball team. Take a look at our team stats here. You can see we actually struggled a bit in August here, 14-14, but then finished very strong with an 18-8 month of September, just cruising into the playoffs here. Lots of ones you're seeing all over the place on this team stats page. Batting average, slugging, OPS, WAR, WOBA, runs scored, second in hits and on base percentage, first in extra base hits, top 5 in home runs, first in strikeouts, second in stolen bases, and even third in base running. This was 12th at one point, and now it's third. And then on the pitching side of things, the best ERA overall, the third best starter and bullpen, the first in runs allowed, 6th in WAR, 1st in hits allowed, opponent's average, BABIP, 3rd in home runs, 6th in walks. Still doesn't really strike out anybody, but that's whatever. 1st in defensive efficiency, and 3rd in zone rating. Just an all-around phenomenal baseball club we've got here in Miami. And before we get into what our current roster looks like, I should mention that Keegan Akin, unfortunately, is going to be out for the rest of the season with rotator cuff inflammation. Not great. He was very, very good for us once again in a extended reliever role. And unfortunately, he will not be in the playoffs for us. And that's going to be a big bummer because that happened, and I was looking through our system, and I'm like, oh no. We don't have any other left-handed pitchers aside from Ryan Weathers, who's also out for the season. So we have a staff of entirely right-handed pitchers, and we're just going to embrace it, baby. That's what we're going to do heading into the playoffs with right-handed pitchers. And of this staff, of right-handed pitchers. The innings pitch leader overall was Zach Wheeler. He only got 47 2/3 of those with us, and he was solid. He was solid for us. Nothing too crazy, but he was solid. We'll take that. He'll be heading into the playoffs in our rotation. Then there's Hurston Waldrop, who had all 177 with us, obviously. I believe that's the highest. Yes, that's the highest he's had in his career, I believe. Yes, in his career, 177 innings pitched, puts up a 2.7 WAR. Solid player. Nothing too crazy, but was a solid starter for us. And then we had Christian Scott. He was solid as well. Nothing crazy either. Just a bunch of steady arms in the rotation. No, pure superstar. Michael King, he... down the stretch, he went into the bullpen and started not really doing that well. As a starter was just really bad, but then he was really good as a follower for a while. But I think a lot of this FIP caught up back in the triple digits when he went back to the bullpen, or he went to the bullpen. So he might not even be on the postseason roster. We'll have to figure things out. Dustin May, he was solid in his first year with us. 108 ERA plus, 88 FIP minus, sub 4 on both of these. We'll take that. Drew Rasmussen was unfortunately not great with us in the rotation or as a regular starter, but once we moved him to be a follower in 5 appearances, he was just phenomenal. So honestly, with how good he was as a follower and how good Jacob Miller was as an opener, we might just rock that in the postseason. Rasmussen and Miller comboed for the postseason. Joseph King the FIP ended up being a bit not great, but overall was really solid for us in the bullpen. We talked about Jacob Miller. Emmanuel Clase was great for us. Coming off a down year last year, comes back this year on a QO and was just really, really good. 2.2 ERA, 2.9 FIP. Doesn't give up any home runs, doesn't walk anybody. I mean, look how much he dropped his walk rate for the past 2 seasons. Doesn't strike out anybody anymore, but the walk rate's so good that you can afford not to strike out as many guys. 30 save season, that's back-to-back for him. He also got his career 300th on June 26th. Kachanowicz also had a decent year as a stopper, middle reliever for us. Edgardo Henriquez, unfortunately, was not good for us down the stretch. We're going to have to make a decision on who's in the bullpen here for the postseason, and right now it's looking like he's not going to be a part of it. Peter Hubeck came at the end of the season. He was not really great. You could see here a little bit better in September, but he got a little bit of time in July, was not good. And then in AAA, he was good, though, I believe. Overall in AAA, what are we looking for? Yeah, in AAA, he was good, but just did not really do it in the big leagues for us. And then Peyton Martin was really good with the FIP, not so much, got really unlucky with the ERA. But I think we're leaning towards having him be a part of the postseason bullpen because he's just on paper one of our best options. Yuri Perez was giving up so many home runs that we just decided to send him down to AAA in case you're wondering why he's not on the big league roster. So we have this contract just sitting in AAA right now because we had better options than Yuri Perez. And then on the hitting side of things, multiple 4-WAR players, including a 5-WAR player, Wilfredo Lara. 5.4 WAR, a 132 WRC plus, 31 doubles, 24 home runs. He was our best player. A 12% walk rate, 16% strikeout rate, 29 swiped bags. Really, really good player for us. And he plays a solid third base. It's not quite the 9 ZR he put up at third base for us last season, but still a very solid third base for Wilfredo Lara. Looking like this contract is going to be a steal if he keeps playing at this level. And then Dylan Head put together a triple-digit WRC plus as our leadoff man. Like I said, old school player, a little bit of old school, a little bit of new school. He sees a lot of pitches, but he also swipes 50 bags at a 90% rate at the top of our order. 4.9 WAR, 25 doubles, 16 home runs, scored 101 runs overall, and played a very good 8.8 ZR in center field. Love to see that. Brooks Lee put up a 4 WAR for us, triple-digit WRC plus, 38 doubles, 20 home runs, 92 runs scored. That's what he does. Brooks Lee, baby, plays really good defense as well, a 4 ZR at second base. And then we had Eshedri Vargas in right field. He ended up picking it up down the stretch. You can see here, ends up with a 4 WAR. One of our best hitters, 43 doubles, 28 home runs, 96 ribbies, 82 runs scored. Very, very good player for us. Max Acosta even put up a triple-digit WRC plus, a 2.7 WAR. Agustin actually ended up coming back up to what he usually does with a 102 WRC plus. Not the usual numbers for him, but we'll take that after his very, very slow start of April and June was terrible. But then you can see here July was good. He was good in May, and he was really good in September. So he tore it up in September, ready for the playoffs. Love to see that. PJ Morlando ended up hitting 24 home runs and 26 doubles for us in his rookie campaign. And he ended up playing a treading water left field. You know, I expected this to be negative. It was not. It wasn't good, but it wasn't negative either. So we'll take that. He's treading water in left field. And we can afford that, I feel like, with how good the rest of our defense is. Davison De Los Santos cooled off a bit, ended up with 28 home runs and 25 doubles as our big bopper in the 4-hole. Jarren Duran, unfortunately, just did not really impress. He got a good chunk in left field for us and wasn't that great. So that's why you could see Morlando is the starter at left, because I was doing every 5th day of Duran, and he just wasn't that great for us, unfortunately. Miguel Palma was solid as a backup for Ramirez, him playing every 3rd game at catcher. Peyton Eels ended up being up and down, finishing with a 98 WRC plus. He tore it up in May, June, July, but then the rest of the season was not great, unfortunately. And then Fernandez kind of cooled down as well in the DH spot. Triple-digit WRC plus for him total, 28 doubles, 16 home runs, but definitely slumped down the stretch. You could see in August and September, did not do well, especially in September. Cawley, once again, glove first, does not do anything with the bat, and then Partridge only got 12 plate appearances, so I just totally goofed it with him. We call him up before the trade deadline. We need to send him down to make room, so we waste one of his options, and then on top of that, he only gets 12 plate appearances once we call him up. So I goofed it on that. That's, hand up, my bad. It is whatever. But, De Los Santos didn't really impress me too much, so I think next year, we are going to move on from him rather than pay him the 7.35. We'll probably trade him, and Partridge will go into next season as our everyday first baseman. And then just quickly looking at our expanded standings here, just right off the bat, you can see +2 on the Pythagorean, plus 146 run differential, the best run differential by far in the National League East. The second best in Major League Baseball. The best was the Detroit Tigers at plus 190, then us. Then you had the Cubs and the Orioles both had plus 134, and the Rangers had plus 125, while the NL West was 4 solid run differential teams, but the Rockies do edge it out as they go 92-70, winning the National League West. That is crazy. Charlie Condon's up now with the big league club, and he is taking advantage of playing in Colorado. 30 doubles, 30 home runs. He's a damn good player, folks. And Ronnie Mauricio did end up getting 364 plate appearances, and he was not really that great for them. So it is what it is with him at this point. And then taking a look around the league at the batting leaders, you got Julio Rodriguez leading the American League in batting average. Ellie De La Cruz leading the National League. In home runs, it's Owen Casey of the Chicago Cubs. He turned into a monster with the Cubs in last year's series. And he, once again, is damn good with the Cubs again. So 4 WAR for him this year at age 27, 48 bombs, 116 ribbies. Really damn good player, 102 runs scored for the NL Central leading Cubs. You got De La Cruz, Walcott, and Colt Keith also with 40+. De La Cruz leads the league in ribbies. OBP was Rodriguez and De La Cruz. Slugging, De La Cruz and Rodriguez. De La Cruz and Rodriguez and OPS. The WAR in the American League was Rodriguez, then Bobby Witt, and the National League leader was Ellie De La Cruz. They're also saying, don't look up Gunnar Hunterson's high school. Just don't do it. The hits leader was Julio. The runs leader was Ellie De La Cruz. And then look at this. Eshedri Vargas, second in doubles behind Jacob Wilson. So Vargas turning into a really, really damn good player here for us with those 43 doubles, only behind Jacob Wilson, who has proven to just be like this generational doubles hitter You can see here he had 50, 44. Last year was hurt a bunch, and then this year back to having 40-plus doubles and leading the league. That's 3 times in the career he has led the league in doubles, and just doesn't walk and doesn't strike out either. And then your stolen base leader here in Major League Baseball this season is the old school Dylan Head. Love to see that. 50 swiped bags, leads the league. He beats out Victor Scott II with the Cardinals. And then on the pitching side of things, we've got a new face here in the ERA leader. It is Ben Abelt. Abelt? Something like that. He was a 2025 first-round pick out of TCU. Extreme ground baller. Last year was solid, split between the rotation and the bullpen, but this year turns into an ace. And he just got hurt at the end of the season, so they're actually going to miss him in the playoffs. That is a huge, huge bummer for the Chicago Cubs. And then look at this, you got 35-year-old Framber Valdez here in the second spot. McClanahan. You got Edmund Morales of the Chicago White Sox in the top 5 as well. He was a 2026 round pick in 2026 first-round pick, 4th overall out of University of Virginia. This guy is fake, but turns into a really damn good player for the White Sox. The saves leader was Robert Garcia of the Texas Rangers. You got Santos. Ryan Brazier in top 3 for saves. WAR is Skeens, Petty, Abelt. This Ovis Portes guy who we saw in Cincinnati last year. This Antiguan who just came out of nowhere and turned into a monster for them. Chris Bubich is in the top 5 as well. And then we have the number 1 and number 2 pitchers in BABIP, with Christian Scott and Hurston Waldrop respectively. 4th in opponents' average is Waldrop, and he's also in the number 1 spot for win percentage. And then on the fielding side of things, we have Agustin Ramirez actually showing off the arm this season, top 3 in caught stealing percentage, and then he also has 2nd in catcher's ERA. So, he doesn't frame, but he ended up rebounding to put together a decent season. Unfortunately, he doesn't make the All-Star team, but we do need him to put together good seasons if we're going to have him signed for this contract. And then, as I mentioned last year, Patrick Bailey just continues to prove to be the best guy with framing. He is just an incredible defensive catcher. Another 3-WAR season for him with a sub-100 WRC+. Last year, he was really good because he hit well. But, even with an 85 WRC+, very, very, very valuable player. And here is your 2029 postseason bracket. The buys in the National League are the Florida Marlins and the Colorado Rockies, with the wild cards being the Nationals, the Dodgers, the D-backs, and the Cubs. On the American League side of things, it is the Rangers and the Tigers with the buys. The Royals, Guardians, Mariners, and Orioles are your wild card teams. So, next time we come back here, we will see who the Florida Marlins are taking on in the 2029 National League Division Series.